chicken salad. Let's get started. Okay, so many of you already know that I really love cooking, okay? Yes, I love cooking, I love cooking, I love cooking. In fact, I'm actually in the middle of writing a cookbook called Proverbs 31 Cookbook. I'm connecting the love for cooking with what it looks like to be a Proverbs 31 woman and be able to cook and serve your husband, your family, and your friends from a place of love that we get from God, so that we are able to be, just in a place of like servant leadership, right? And have our fuel of taking care of our husbands, our families, and our friends, not from a place of like flesh, which will eventually run out, but from a place of faith, which will always be replenished because the source isn't us, it's from God. So one of the things that I really, really like doing is being able to eat clean and healthy and not have a lot of mess to clean up afterwards, mainly because then I won't have to worry about hearing Anthony, because Anthony's usually the cleaner in our household. So with that said, a couple of months ago, I actually ended up just playing around with a basil chicken salad. It's pretty simple. It has a lot of fresh basil, y'all. It has some hemp parts, which my sister actually put me on. It has a bit of like nuttiness, and it's, oh my God, it's so good. If you have not gotten hemp parts, y'all, put it in your salad. You will not be sad, okay? You will not be sad. I think we got this from Costco for about like $8, and it's organic, okay? So it's really, really good. I put some Honeycrisp apples. You can put any apples in, but again, if you are looking to have an excited party in your mouth, you are going to want to go with the Honeycrisp, okay? I usually just get about 2 for me and Anthony. Our mom is with us at this point, so I think 2 will still be okay, just because you don't want a ton of waste. You know, that's not good for the climate, it's not good for your fridge, it's not good for your tummy, okay? So I would say if you're trying to feed between 2 and 3 adults, 2 should be fine, 2 large apples. There's organic chicken. As you all might be knowing, again, part of clean eating is also making sure that no pesticides and all that other crap that they try to put in our food is like not there. Okay, so if you can, try to do organic. And a tip that I would say is if finances are an issue, because obviously, you know, money just doesn't just grow out of trees. And as your family expands, you know, your dollar needs to be even that much tighter. Then I would just recommend for folks to get products that if the skin is something that you're gonna be eating, so like for the salad, we're not like peeling the skin off and stuff like that, then like those are the things that you're gonna wanna get organic. So definitely make sure that your apples are organic. Always make sure, and this is the priority, your meat source is organic. That is like the most important thing. Some other products that I have for this is alfalfa. Listen, if you have never heard of alfalfa, your life is not completed, okay? Alfalfa is amazing, okay? It literally makes your meals go from like a 7 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, okay? And if you wanna be in the big ballers club, you need to get yourself some alfalfa. It's really good, adds texture, and it also adds an element of refinement in your mouth. That's really, really good. I also have microgreens. I also feel like microgreens is something similar to alfalfa, but it adds a really cool, I don't know, like it's not just like you're only putting like salad greens in it, you know, you're putting another type of green in it, and it's actually really good. It kind of, to me, tastes a bit peppery, in all the best ways. It's not too sweet, which I really appreciate. It's more of a dry green, but at the end, it kind of adds a little bit of like moisture. It is different than kind of the general like blend that you would get. And it is different in taste too. Like I said, to me, it tastes a bit more peppery. So with all of these different things, with green pepper, why did I call this pepper, y'all? It's green onion. With green onion and all that stuff, I normally put tomatoes in it, but I forgot. So just imagine this with also tomatoes too. And then something that I really like, mainly because I have a condition called endometriosis, so I'm not really supposed to have a lot of like soy products and stuff like that. So this is actually a really good substitute for soy sauce. Also too, if you're not supposed to be on sugar, so like my mom having like high blood pressure and stuff like that, and like well, not necessarily like anymore, but us having to be very, very intentional about her not having a lot of like sugar and stuff like that. With her brain injury, having the coconut aminos is always really, really good because it doesn't have like added like sodium, added sugar, added whatever. It literally has one product and one product only, and it's natural and it's organic. So you can get this at Trader Joe's for like, I don't know how much, but I think it's like less than $5. I feel pretty confident that it's between $2 and $3. So we always carry this. This is just really good. I'll be using this as well. If you can tell, I totally went to Trader Joe's to get this. So there's also this Cajun style alfredo sauce. This is probably the most like unhealthy, unclean thing. But I mean, hey, I'm all about moderation. Like, if you want to do clean everything, go for it. But I think having one thing that's not as clean, but not is like, it's not like super bad either, is fine. And guess what? This is actually going to be the way that I'm not cooking for hours on end until Anthony comes home, okay? I have a lot of things to do, and if you're like me and you're busy and you're trying to get something good on the plate while not spending a ton of time, why not cheat a little bit? So I think that this is good. It adds a lot of flavor. And I'll probably just add sea salt. You know, sea salt's always good with fresh frying pepper. I think that that's always like a good way to kind of elevate your salad. And then also lemon. With that said, what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually just mainly gonna focus on the chicken because everything else at that point, at a certain point, is just gonna be assembly, okay? So what I'm gonna go ahead and do with the chicken is I'm gonna rinse the chicken off. After I'm done rinsing it off, I'm going to cut it because guess what? Right now, they're pretty thick, and I am trying to make sure that the chicken thighs are thin enough to where you actually taste the marinade once I do marinate it, okay? So, with that said, let's go ahead, wash your hands first, because nobody wants no dirty hands, okay? I'm just saying. Okay, so, with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and wash the chicken. Some of you might be, I wonder, put it in the comments, how many folks have actually are like, oh, I wash my chicken, oh, I don't. I was talking to Anthony. Listen, y'all, I love my husband. He's a good cook, okay? Recently, like over the last couple months, like I wasn't really having a lot of energy, and he was really stepping it up and like taking care of me and all that stuff, right? So one time I was like playing his sous chef because I finally had enough energy. And listen, y'all, I found out that he's not trying to wash his chicken. So I was like, what? I was like, baby, are you gonna wash that? And he was like, first of all, I'm the one cooking. What are you talking about? So I'm like, you're right, you are cooking. And then he's just like, do you need to wash it? And I was like, oh, I think it's important to wash it. And he's like, well, technically it's gonna like go on the heat, you know? And I was just like, yeah, I guess you're right. Like it is gonna go on the heat. But my mom just like always taught me to wash it. And I'm pretty sure mom on your side also washes it too because she's a clean freak. So anyway, put in the comments what you do. Okay, so the main thing that you're gonna wanna do for this is really to make sure that the thickness of this now becomes a bit more thin, okay? So what I'm doing, and you might see there's this that's falling off, there's this, it's a little chunky, we wanna clean it up. So if we come closer, we see that I'm actually butterflying the fish, or why did I say fish? The chicken, okay? So I'm gonna actually cut this off. And my goal right now is just to kind of make it as thin as possible. So for this, again, I'm just kind of cutting through so I can try to butterfly it as much as possible. So we see it's super thin. So that's pretty even, that's pretty thin. This is not thin, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and start to butterfly this and continue doing so. Okay, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut it off again so it can feel thin. So you just wanna make sure that it's pretty thin, and then until it's to your liking of thinness, I think that this is pretty okay. I think this is okay too. So then I'm just gonna go ahead and set that to the side, and I'm gonna get the next piece. Okay, so at this point, all the chicken is done. It's in a pile. It doesn't look pretty right now. What I've done is I just put a little bit of saran wrap on top of this tinfoil pan. And what I plan on doing is essentially putting this, some of the seasonings, on the chicken. And then from there, putting it onto this lovely pan. And then once I'm done with this, just to kind of get a little bit of sear, then I'm actually gonna go ahead and put it into this bad boy. I put foil into it. Again, it's a foil tin pan. You can use pretty much whatever you have, but the idea is I'm actually gonna go ahead and finish it off in the oven so that it stays moist and it is able to retain a lot of the juiciness that it has. I personally don't like dry chicken, so hopefully you don't either. So I've actually found that this is actually a really good way to kind of retain moisture. It's just to do a really quick sear and then throw that bad boy in the oven. What I'm gonna do is just kind of try to maximize the time in this space. So I'm just gonna lay out a lot at the same time. Something that has the corns where you're freshly grinding it, that will literally make your food taste 10 times better. So it's looking pretty, it's feeling pretty hot. I think if you're able to go like this and you feel heat, then that's a sign that you can go ahead and start. Gonna turn up the heat, and you might be able to hear the sizzling just a little bit. That is exactly what you want to hear, okay? The sizzling, and if you see right here, you're actually able to kind of see it, and it's sizzling and it's liking it. The same for this, okay? Now I'm not gonna overcrowd the pan, only 3 at a time. It will take longer, but hey, God tells us to have patience. So it's important to have patience. It will pay off. So I decided to use this instead of a spatula because I feel like that's actually gonna be a little bit more restricting. This is gonna allow me to lift the chicken just like you see me doing right now. Just lift it and kind of peek, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and flip it because I don't want to overcook it. And I think you all will see There is some nice caramelization on some of the pieces. Like right here is beautiful. This piece is a lot better, and I think it's because it's honestly a lot smaller. It's not necessarily as brown as I would want it, but I do not want to overcook it. So if I had to pick between the two, I'd rather it be like this so that it's still able to kind of retain the flavor and all of that. So I'll probably keep it on for another minute, and then I'm going to transfer it on here, and then we're going to go ahead and have our next batch. Saran wrap here. Listen, this is a really, really good trick because I personally don't like cleaning a lot. I like my house to be super clean, but I don't like cleaning a lot. So the beautiful thing with this is if you put 2 down, for the most part, and if you wanted to be real smart about it, maybe you could have put 3 down. You see, I don't actually have much of a mess. So like I have like this smidgen and this smidgen here of marinade. So I'm gonna go ahead and obviously like clean it up and stuff like that, but it's less of a mess. So if you want to go ahead and take that hack, feel free. I think it's actually really helpful. The same with foil, of course, too. Okay, so I just want to go ahead and say that the chicken is so succulent. This is a little piece of the actual chicken. It is so juicy. Okay, you do not need a long time. That's the whole purpose of actually kind of butterflying it from the beginning, and so that every piece can be coated, and so that you don't actually, you're spending time on the front end, right? Kind of butterflying it, making sure that it's like nice and thin layers. But on the back end, you're not actually spending a ton of time, and you're able to make sure that you actually taste the flavor. So please, 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 if you can, try to butterfly them as much as possible. I think where a lot of people make the mistakes is they'll go ahead and they'll put the marinade on top of the whole chicken breast or on top of the whole chicken thigh. They'll put it in the oven. They might even do like a pan-sear and then they'll put it in the oven, or maybe they'll only do a pan-sear, who knows. First of all, they tend to overcook it, so that's not fun, and then it dries out. But then second of all, if they don't overcook it and it's nice and juicy inside, you only get the flavor on the outside. No one likes that, right? Because guess what? Otherwise, it's like, this isn't really that flavorful, I don't really want it, so on and so forth. Again, if you want to make sure that you're getting the bang for your buck in every single bite that you have chicken with, I would definitely recommend to butterfly it. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and let it rest, okay, y'all? So many times people make the mistake of not letting your chicken rest. I actually ended up cleaning while I was letting the 10 minutes pass for the chicken. I think it's so important, again, just remember to let the chicken rest. So I'm gonna let the chicken rest. Once it rests is when I'll go ahead and I'll cut it open, so that it has the juices retained and stuff like that. Right now, I've already rinsed off my apples, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it. I have my cutting board over here. I guess I'll go ahead and cut it. And I think I'm actually just gonna do kind of like bigger chunks. And I'm actually not gonna cut all of it. So I think the key for salads to keep it fresh, in my opinion, is to go ahead and only cut what you need for the actual meal, okay? With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up either with saran wrap or put it in a plastic baggie so that it retains its integrity. And then the next day, when everyone's hungry, then I'll go ahead and cut off some more apple. No, that's not fun, it's not ideal, but your mouth will be happy, okay? So for 30 seconds of an inconvenience of having to chop up the apple every single day, I think it's just better. Otherwise, the apple's just going to brown, and that's not fun. Who's gonna want to eat a brown apple? Okay, you want it to be appetizing. We eat with our eyes before we eat with our mouth. So I think from experience, I've actually noticed. I think that this might be enough, but I might actually cut another piece just because, again, I'm not only doing it for myself, I'm also doing it for my husband and my mom. So I've used about maybe 3/4 of an apple like this when I've done it for myself. So I'm just gonna go ahead and double it for 3 people. It's still pretty chunky, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to slice it again, just this way, if that makes sense, so that all of these are not actually as wide, okay? I'm gonna make it thinner, and then I'll be cutting it again. Easy peasy. And now you have your beautiful apples. Ooh! 3-second roll. Beautiful apples, okay, y'all? So now since we have our apples, the next thing that we need to cut is the green onion. So something that I like to do after washing it is actually kind of crunching it with my hands like this to kind of get the excess water off and do a little shake, or like I like to say, a little shimmy. Okay, so you can shimmy your green onions. I'm gonna go ahead and actually place this right on the cutting board. I'm gonna go ahead and use this little ramekin, and instead of cutting it, I'm gonna scissor it, and it's gonna be so great, okay? So, just gonna put this on top of the cutting board, and I'm just gonna scissor it. So, something I would recommend, something you probably already do at home, is these little funky pieces that aren't cute, just go ahead, be like, oh, you're excommunicated because you're not that cute, and I need cute stuff to be in my food. I like to get the ends, and then any scraggly pieces that just look raggedy that you'll be like, why is this in my food? Make sure to get those. After you're done with that, then you can go ahead and just kind of cut. You can make it however big you want to. I don't really think there's a rhyme or a reason or a rule for anything. What I would say for pieces that tend to be wider, almost like this piece, to maximize it, what I've normally done is I've actually just kind of cut it in half like this, right? So it's kind of like 2 different pieces, and then I've cut it, right? So that helps with maximization. If you don't want to do that, it's not going to be the end of the world. I just like little tips and tricks for almost everything I do. So that's one of the reasons why I want to go ahead and share the wealth, share the wealth. So I think this is pretty much all you need for about 3 people. If I do need more, then I'll let you know. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. So good, okay? And you see how it's just dripping the juice. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. Hold onto the perimeter of the actual chicken so I'm not getting any of the marinade off. So you see I'm holding the ends of the actual chicken, okay? This is what I'm holding when I cut. I am not actually putting my fingers on the actual chicken as I cut, because guess what? I want all of that flavor in my mouth, not my hand, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and do this until I'm done with all two, what am I trying to say? Pans. All right. Okay, so this is how the chicken looks. This is just one pan so far, just so that I can kind of hurry up because I think Anthony and my mom are hungry. The basil, okay? Now this is fresh basil. Please, 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 with this, the summer is all about freshness, okay? Get the fresh basil. Get the fresh basil. one of the stars for this chicken basil salad, outside of the chicken, is the basil. So I would definitely recommend to have a lot of basil, okay? I got 2 things of basil for us so that we don't have to feel shy when I'm doing the basil. And you'll see that at this point, I'm like tossing it around. I'm making sure that it gets on the bottom, that it gets in the middle, and on the top, okay? So I'll probably go ahead and add a few more sprigs, a few more leaves. And again, you can just make them rough, however big or little you want. I think medium size is perfect just because I want basil in almost every single bite. Basil is not just for Italian food, it's also for your summer salad, okay, y'all? I love it. Now it's time for the apple. And again, the same thing. I'm gonna put the apple on top, then I'm gonna put some apple in the middle, followed by some apple on the bottom, okay? It might sound silly, but I guarantee you, I know you've been in places where it's like, why is all the apple in one place? Or why is all the chicken on the bottom? Why can't I have an even cook or an even bite throughout? And guess what? If you were intentional about putting stuff on the bottom, putting stuff in the middle, and putting stuff on top, you would never have that complaint. So it feels tedious right now, but as soon as we serve it, you will be happy, okay? You will be happy. Excited. Let me go ahead and do a little small bite. Let me get apple with some alfalfa. It is good. The apple brings out a really cool flavor of sweetness, okay? Which is balanced with a little bit of the spiciness from the chicken from the Cajun alfredo. And then it's really cool because it has that kind of earthy alfalfa with the greens and this unexpected nutty flavor from the hemp seeds. And then there you go with the basil where it's like, whew, okay? What I would actually recommend, because normally I do one serving, and it's not too much lemon, y'all, is I'm actually gonna go ahead, after I make mine, my husband's, and my mom's plate, I'm gonna spritz it off with a little bit of lemon, just because I noticed that in adding some of the other flavors, you miss some of that natural acid. So, I'm gonna go ahead, top it off with some lemon, and I know it's gonna make it way better. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you want me to cook some more. Talk to you later. Until next time.